IKONINI, jana kuna vile Gachagua alikuwa impeached. Na hii impeachment ya Gachagua ilinifundisha vitu mingi sana. Na one of the things nililani, even before he was impeached, he had already been impeached. Because kitu ili happen, the Gazette notice ilikuwa released basically immediately. And the Gazette notice, of course, ilikuwa dated 17th of October. Which was yesterday. Na ukiangalia the timing, like by the time he was being found guilty of the first charge, ilikuwa like, I think 10:59 p.m. So, hii 1 hour, bado kuna hizi charges zote zingine ziliendelea, alafu mseasha, okay, so unacheki. So you get that one. And of course, kama umeamka asubuhi, ukicheki like headline ya The Standard, ilikuwa fired after 766 days. And ikakuwa ni impeachment upheld on a high drama, blah, blah, blah. Then hapo chini utanotice Adani to use JKIA title to secure loans. Don't forget that. Sawa. Don't forget that we impeached Rigathi Gachagua. And the person that we should have been impeaching is the real criminal. Now the real criminal ikikam to Kenya saa hizi ni William Samoei Ruto. Ndio mse saa hizi he's leasing the country. But let's talk about Gachagua kidogo. Because this story ya Gachagua ilifanya a few of the things zika stand out. Kama one of the things that actually stood out was the mental stamina. Yeah, like some of these senators that we have. And two of the senators nataka kuanza nao. Nataka kuanza na Crystal Asige. Tusikie vile anaongea. Alafu tuone the same microphone ile Crystal Asige alitumia. Like a few minutes later ilienda up imetumika na udem anaitwa Karen Nyamo. So acha tusikie Crystal.
And it's funny that it's Blindness Awareness Month this month in October, because there are many lessons, like I said, that I have learned, and I wish that the public will also take from this experience. Mr. Speaker, I hope that the public understands that when they have their back to the wall, when they've been in any kind of battle, even when they feel isolated, there is something called golfer's elbow, which I learned. Golfer's elbow is the idea that, or is a condition that golfers usually have when they hold on to the grip of their club too tight for a long period of time, and they end up injuring their wrist all the way up to their elbow because they're holding on too tight to an outcome, too tightly. And I've learned that sometimes you just have to let that go.
Cheki. So that was her analogy where she was basically alikuwa na describe like vile Gachagua alikuwa me hold on tight, and the writing was on the wall. But then came the other lawyer. Tuko na Mwengi Mtuse the lawyer, alafu another lawyer that we have anaitwa Karen Nyamo. And Karen Nyamo ni more interesting because we know her mostly for being the side dish wa Samido, instead of knowing her as a senator. And apart from knowing her as a senator, we also need to know her as a lawyer. But all that is not known. So, of course, pia yeye akatokea. And she had to do this very powerful speech about the deputy president.
He has been our leader. We have been in the trenches with him, fighting for this government. And so it has come to this, and I can assure you we are not particularly very excited about it. I personally have interacted with him on numerous occasions. If you look in the internet, Mr. Speaker, you will see photos of me dancing with the deputy president.
Nasikia jo. So kumbuka jo, kunkele difference ya Crystal Asige, who's not even part of Kenya Kwanza, and then usikie huyu. Like the best she could come up with on such a momentous day was that here she dance na deputy president. So it's not like the deputy president was having a bad day, like enough, like yuko hosi, yuko naenda kukufa, alafu sasa bibi yake yuko ulikuwa unapiga ulikuwa umemshikilia mataka mkidanza, unacheki like unaleteaje Gachagua shida. Gachagua iko na shida tayari. So udem sijui anafanya nini Senate. But sasa kitu moja pia nililana na history yote ni kiburi waga kitu mbaya sana, cause kiburi ilifanya at some point the deputy president used to talk and I'd be there just looking at him. And don't forget, I'm one of those people who are not happy that this guy has left. Najua, I feel like he's been amekuwa judged harshly, and I'll always feel sad for him if he come to hear story. But one of the things ile stay feel sad juu yake ni kuna a certain lesson. Kuna sometimes kuna msesha niambiaga like mwaf wewe ni mzee sana, kwa nini bado unaongeaga juu ya TV, bado na watch nini? Kuna vitu zile unaweza learn from a few people, especially fiction. Fiction najua semaga art imitates life and life imitates art. And there's a lesson that people need to learn. Proximity to power is not power. So, and this goes out to even the likes of Kimani Ichung'wah. Just because you're friends with Ruto does not mean that you have Ruto's power. Who else? Akina Moses Kuria, who are celebrating. Just because hauna power, you are as useless as ule Gachagua. Power Kimani Ichung'wah yuko nayo ni the same amount of power ile Mwafrika niko nayo hapa. Proximity to power. So, and I keep quoting this quote. So, wacha tusikie from the horse's mouth.
Proximity to power deludes some into believing they wield it. I put an end to that sort of thinking before it begins.
Meskia, I put an end to that before it begins. And that's what Ruto ended up doing. Ali end up put an end to that nini. Like, Gachagua alikuwaga so arrogant that he'd go around just disrespecting people, just talking. Alikuwa na bonga mob sana. And ilifika level where you want to defend him, but then you look at iyo kiburi yake, unashindwa sasa ubuda. Anaweza saidika aje. Like, that's why, like, part of the people unapata wana celebrate his downfall, wana celebrate juu hiyo kiburi. Like, alikuwa na kiburi sana, and he used to talk shit because alikuwa najua wame take over gava. Like, if you had to go back to 13th of September 2022 and you hear the way alikuwa naongea Uhuru akikuwa hapo, utashindwa juu umse alikuwa nafikiria nini. You don't have to disrespect someone like that. Like, Uhuru was bad, but not as bad as they made him look. And then of course at some point ilikuwa inasemekana vile Uhuru ni he is very bad for ilikuwa ni the mountain. Alafu what ended up happening? Uhuru ended up being right about the mountain. And then so tukikam to Gachagua ended up in hospital yesterday. And if you are to put a gun to my head uniulize umse alikuwa msik ama hakuwa msik, sijui. Mi kila sijui, lakini sometimes inasemekanaga if people go back in time and they hear some of the things that you've said about others who are in hospital, maybe that says the same thing about you.
Ile kitu ya kustabisha wa Kenya ni kwamba hawa watu saa ile waliona kimeumana, hakuna alikanyanga town. Moja alidificha Nairobi Hospital akasema hakuwa admitted, awekwe tu maji kwa sababu si mgonjwa. Meskia.
So hivi vile alikuwa naongeaga ile time alikuwa na power. So does this mean that he was sick, or does this mean that he wasn't sick? Because I don't know what it means. Like, when I think about it, I don't think alikuwa mgonjwa. But it was interesting pia kuona like now doctor wake akibonga, and the doctor was talking about like one of the reasons why yuko kwa hosi. And like one of the reasons ilikuwa inasemekana iko kwa hosi ni juu ya stress. Najua like umse ametandikwa na stress, na iko inafanya nashindwa hii ni stress gani imetandika huu buda mpaka akabidi jua baki ameenda hosi. Alafu hapo kwa background sijui kama ni masans wake wako hapo.
Stress can cause heart problems, we know that, and the DP is definitely a lot of stress. I'm sure you've heard about something called Takotsubo syndrome, the broken heart syndrome, all those things that can cause severe heart problem. So all those are possibilities. So I would say
a broken heart. So sunira Ruto umenivuja moyo. Ruto umenivuja moyo Ruto. Niko sana na Uhuru kwa sababu yako. I'm a truthful man. Ruto umenifanyia nini Ruto? And another lesson to be learned with this is not everyone we call a friend is a friend. Kila mtu kutumiaga for a certain purpose. Like, everyone is trying to move from point 1 to point 2, ama point A to point B. And with that in mind, we are going to use each other. Umse atakutumia akufikisha pale, mwingine atakutumia kufikisha pale. And still pia, your friend's success is not your success. Hii ni kitu pia uhapenigi. Like, unaweza end up umeplay number 2 for so long that you start thinking that you and number 1 are attached together. No, you're not. And I think there's a certain saying ile nilisema, and I also watched this on a fictional series. Na ilikuwa like 2 best friends wakiwa together, they never realize that they'll not be at each other's funeral. that means that this is what's going to happen. Either one of them is going to die before the other. So huyu hata attend funeral ya huyu, but huyu mwingine hatapata time ya return the favor. Or another situation whereby both of them are dead at the same time, which also means they won't be at each other's funeral. Even if they are buried together, watu wenyewe watakuwa ki-exist. And in one of those lessons to learn from the deputy president, because the deputy president had become so arrogant that personally, I'm not happy that he left office, because as I keep saying, the biggest criminal is still around. Najua, ule mseli dedishaga wase 60, over 60 people during the protest, huo mse bado yuko. And amekuja, of course, akaingiza ODM, mafala za ODM, najua mafala za Kenya tunakoko. Minutes zimepatiwa kwa kitu kidogo zinasahau kufocus. But ukiangalia, like during the elections, ile arrogance alikuwa nao, then after the elections, ile ilikuwa ile time na diskale kabuda, weenda bondo, ule mzee wa bondo. Sasa hivi ukicheki, like immediately when he was impeached, there was already a meme yake wakitumia ile image yake akiingia kwa ndege, kalikuwa amebeba ile suitcase. Alafu itakufikisha kwa mlima mzee, Madhira Express, unacheki. And that's one of those things, ile unabaki umerealize, proximity to power, that you are the deputy president. And if anything had happened to the president between 13th of September 2022 and 17th of October 2024, you'd have ended up being the most powerful man in Kenya. But how did you end up? End up with a legacy of serve less than 2.5 years. That means if you'd not been impeached, you could still have reigned for deputy presidency. But since umekuwa impeached, inamaanisha ni funeral yako imekaa ikafika hapo. And kitu ilikuwa funny na history yote ni I saw a few things that I found to be like just hilarious. And one of the things that I found to be hilarious ni vile umsel kwa na disconstructiwa. And one of the people who was disconstructing him, of course, ilikuwa Halwale. And Halwale made me realize one thing. And this is something that's disturbing me till now. Gachagua amejitetea sana. Na akijitetea amejitetea na familia bro wake Nderitu Gachagua. Don't you find it weird that no one has come out from Nderitu Gachagua's side to defend their uncle? So does this mean that those allegations za finance zilikuwa kweli? Did he actually take the property away from his brother and his brother's widows? Like, did he do that? And if he did that, how much of a vile human being is he? Not a politician. Like, because all our politicians are vile. That's why even if you look at the charges that they found Yekuwa guilty of, they avoided finance because of course their finances are messed up. So finance ilibidi, unajua you can't, that's like the pot calling the kettle black. So they kept away from that. But keep that in mind that no one from the Nderitu Gachagua side has even gone on Twitter and posted a video like, oh, my uncle is innocent. Let's stay together with my uncle, whatever. And your uncle is a billionaire. And apart from being a billionaire, of course, he was charged with corruption, just like you. Like he didn't have like a clean slate of Nini, but when your death cleanses. So after death cleansed him, akacha hii property, it was your duty to just make sure that his kids got his money. If you took even 5 cents from his kids, then fuck you. Unajua? Fuck you. And unaweza fuck off na hiyo nini yako. Na hii story na watu wa mlima. Mimi ni mtu wa mlima.
I believe that if the deputy president had taken the dog, we were going to completely undress him.
Hapo jo, najua mpaka na shida. Dorcas, ati wamesema nini? Wanataka kunivua nguo. Waambia niko kwa hospitali naongezwa maji, sijavaa nguo. Okay. Completely undress him. I was losing myself. Acha tuendelee.
We would have asked him to justify what activities each and every one of those companies was doing. It's part of the reason why he stepped down, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have evidence, which I don't wish to be part of the case, that as soon as the deputy president's brother died, the wife went to the corporate branch of the cooperative bank and started crying there that the manager should stop the deputy president from operating these accounts.
Unajua nikisikia vitu kama hizi na ngoja kusikia from Nderitu Gachagua's kids that this is not true. Because one thing has to be like stated. Nderitu Gachagua's kids ni mababi. Unajua kama buda yenyu alikuwa worth 2 billion, nyinyi mapunk. Unajua mko na fast internet, mko na like great phones, you have access to all this. So why isn't anyone coming out to defend this guy? That's the one thing that I can't wrap my brain around. Like nashindwa like nini inaendelea hapa. So with that in mind, we know that Gachagua was a piece of shit, and yeah, kuishia, it's not something to make me lose sleep over. But what happened to him? What happened to him, according to Mimi, was not an impeachment trial, because it reached a level where ulikuwa nasikia wase kama Otiende Amolo wakisema that they do not need to prove anything. They just need to believe. They just need to show us. Na sisi wenyewe to believe tu kidogo. Hiyo ilikuwa inani trouble sana. And another thing that stood out, of course, from me trial ni mimi nimekuwa nikitetea Sifuna sana. Nimekuwa nikisema vile according to Mimi, Sifuna is not towing the party line and he's risking his whatever. But it just showed that Raila has this control over his politicians, that there's nothing to be done about them. Like politicians were Raila ni politicians wa Raila, and they'll always do anything that he wants, and that's why they all voted to Nini this guy, because walikuwa nabonga juu ya vitu kama umse ame disrespect the judiciary, amesema judiciary sijui iko na nini. Raila is on record talking shit about the judiciary. It's not something that he's never done, and no one has ever said that Raila should never run for public office. But now seeing the ODM people like involved in this lynching was just because maybe they'll surprise us, and in the way they surprise us is maybe they'll pull what they did to Kanu in 2002. Maybe what I pull in 2027, but I'd not hold my breath. I feel like Ruto is going to make these people so rich. Like saizi ukiona images Zobuda anaitwa Opio Wandai, like msa anafurahia jo nini, anafurahia hii story yote. But wacha sasa tusikie jo ODM vile ODM walikuwa wanataka hii story happen.
But let it not be mistaken, Mr. Speaker, as some people have, that the process of impeachment is a criminal trial. When you hear people ask the mover of the motion, do you have any proof? Can you demonstrate? It means they are confusing this process with a criminal process. It is not a criminal process. Mr. Speaker, what we have in impeachment is a halfway house between the whim before 2010 and the beyond reasonable doubt proof in a criminal trial. In the words of Article 50, all you have to show is reason to believe. Reason to believe. What the lawyers would call just a prima facie case. You do not have to demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt. So all the questions that I had my learned friends putting to the mover to prove, to demonstrate, they look good to the public gallery, but they add no value to the test for impeachment.
Meskia hiyo, they look good to the public gallery. That's why ilitubamba. Tukicheka Mtuse, tukatusi Mtuse, and Mtuse right now is laughing, najua. And naitwa nani jo? Alfred Mtua iko somewhere at Alfred and Lillian Hotel, and Hali, he's like okay, Hali. But so yeah, that happened. So it was interesting kuona ODM were really enjoying this thing, and yeah, I don't know, but I hope ODM can learn a few lessons. And one of the lessons that I would love ODM to learn ni lesson from people like akina Cleophas Malala. Cleophas Malala, these are also wale wase nakwambia watu wa kiburi. Yani wale wase ile time Ruto alikuwa elected, walikuwa ule mzee arudi Mbondo, sisi ndio tuko in power, sijui nini. Jona kama mna realize ndio Buddha hauko in power. Sisi ni yeye ndio ako in power. Unajua yeye William Samoei Ruto huyo, yes, ushaingia kwa private jet ya serikali wewe. Unajua Shalina, najua mpaka chef wa private jet ya serikali. nyamaza na hiyo sisi. So cheki jo vile Cleophas Malala alikuwa zile za okay, alafu nikwambia kwa nini ilikuwa some ultimate bullshit.
I don't want you to refer to the Constitution. I want you to refer to your heart. Have you become this heartless, Mr. President? Have you become this heartless to a sense that your deputy president is sick, but you're still fighting him down? Mr. President, we helped you, we fought for you to become president. We never knew that you'll become this man who does not care about his friends.
Oh, Cleophas Malala jo. Okay, Cleophas analala na analala nja. Okay, kuna one of the statements that really pissed me off ilikuwa have you become this heartless? Because I'm like, where were you on June 25th? Where were you on June 27th? As a matter of fact, where were you on June 20th? The first time ile igava ilianza kuwa protesters. That was Rex Masai. By the time kunafika June 25th, how many people are killed? Saizi nasemekana over 60 people have been killed while ni protesters, innocent, unarmed protesters, and they've been called criminals by this president. Then you have the nerve to come and tell us the president has become heartless. He's always been heartless. Just because he was on your side. The same way these ODM clowns are there like, alafu zitaanza kulia. Election isipoenda vile Ruto anataka, Kisumu italia. Hakuna kitu moja hapo ati itakuwa Kisumu italia. Raila atakuwa pale na kale handkerchief kake. So that's why hizi raya za Raila lazima zihope kabisa za zikiendelea kukisra the president, they'll stay on his good side. But this guy does not F around. That's one thing you need to know. This guy does not F around. And some of us, we follow the evidence. We look at, okay, that's what happened with that. Okay, that's what happened with that. Okay, what's happened with that. And yeah, it's very simple. Alafu, another thing that has come out with this is, I remember all the images coming out that the president, the deputy president, when everything became super thick and the walls were closing in. Nilibaki nimemcheki alienda kwa church na akapiga magoti na akaanza kuombewa, and there was the whole thing of with the Lord on our side, and I'm there wondering, the Lord is on whose side? Is it the president's side because the president is praying for you to go away, or is it on your side? But let's forget that. Let's go back in time. Tukibonga jele kiburi. Kuna time ile Dorcas, Dorcas alikuwa anajitandika kifua jo. Okay, maybe sifai kusema hivyo.
But before I can go there, I have a man that I love. Many of you call him the Rigi. Others call him the truthful man. He is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. There are people who have a problem believing that. He was prayed on the altar. One who is prayed from the altar, you can only remove him from the altar.
Aya, inaka Senate inafaa kuitwa altar. Okay. So at least samshajua jina ingine ya Senate ni altar. So yeah. So as things stand right now, stories za Buddha zimeisha. Lakini tutaangalia what a few of the lawyers were saying before the whole process iishe, and some of the things they were saying means that maybe there's still a fight left for this guy, but I doubt. But I still have to remember another person that nakumbukaga, especially in the run-up to the 2022 election. This guy was very disrespectful to Uhuru and what. And as I keep saying, of course, I don't give a fuck about Uhuru, because ukiangalia Uhuru ni billionaire. Unajua, like, mimi kuwari juu yake inaweza kuujinga. Umekaa pale uko billionaire amelala vizuri, mimi sina shida na Uhuru. The same way Gachagua, unless ananyang'anywa ile do, he's still a billionaire. Don't weep for Gachagua. Lakini kama kuna msee hakupata the memo that he should not weep for Gachagua, ni msee mmoja anaitwa Kimani Gunjiri.
Oya Kenya yako mwana wetu. Ataidie. Ibono maigikiwa. Kuga. Atigana gai. Tona baadhi tukamwona rujio.
Ametigwa na Ngai nitukumwona rujio. Watamuona kesho, which is today. So the way he was talking, you'd think that the deputy president was hanging on for his dear life, but sukumbuke the president alikuwa amesema kunukia vizuri kabisa unaendaga kwa hosi sema niongeze maji afu ndakuwa unajua mseka mimi za shida boda hii maji nafanya vitu zingine zinaamka na zibai kuamka. Okay, so I keep digressing. Let's see. So kulikuwa na manga mob sana ilikuwa ina happen. Now say what I hope wamelearn your lesson. Your proximity to power deludes many that they wield it. None of the people who thinks that they wield power right now, according to me, Kimani Ichung'wah, and he's going to learn very soon that he does not wield power. As soon as the president gets a whiff that he's lost the mountain, because he just might have lost the mountain. Na ile time atakuwa come to reality that he's lost the mountain, he's going to have to lose the mountain, and he's going to be ready to lose the mountain. Because don't forget, this guy is ruthless and he's trying to keep power. And he knows that keeping power itakuwa very hard in 2027. So, but he needs, if the margin is there and he's beaten, he needs the margin to be really small so that he can tilt it kidogo. So, wacha tuangalie kile Nelson Havi alisema. Nelson Havi alisema the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua is good for Kenya and bad for President William Ruto. It has set a low threshold for removal of leaders, including himself, from office, and effectively denied him the overwhelming support of Kikuyus who voted for him to the last woman seated. Nacheki. So, kuna mse fulani ule akabaki amefanya prediction fulani, which if this prediction is right, then Ruto might be a one-term president, but I doubt. I feel like this mtoto wa ODM, as soon as tuliwekwa kwa gari alafu tukawakishiwa lights, msekao pia Wandai aliambua washa light, alafu pia Wandai akasema Oguda, si washa hiyo light to on. Gabriel Oguda will be there no matter what. Wakawasha lights zikawaka za gava wana serikali. As long as waliambua hivyo, I don't think they can betray the president. Najua they can always betray the people, but they can never betray the president. That's what I think. One thing najua juu yao. So kuna msanaitwa Jim Jewel kwa ameandika Raila has successfully disarmed Ruto by stripping him of the mountain support. By 2027, Ruto will be extremely unpopular and weak, and then Raila will desert him like he deserted Moi in 2022 and vile. Wait for a Ruto must go from Raila in 2027 or late 2026. Mwendea kaandika Ruto's goose is now cooked. Yes, Ruto's goose might be cooked if Raila deserts him. I feel like it's going to be super hard for him to hang on. But I think anajua hiyo excitement. Say, vitu zinawafurahisha. Unacheki yani wase niko sure. Ukome kwa kicheki tweets za the Oguda after Wandai kuingia gava. Unajua, can you compare that with the Wandai pre? The Oguda pre-Wandai kuingia gava. It's a very different one. But now, a few of the tweets that had been sent out before, history yote, zilikuwa interesting. Because kuna Ahmed Nasir alikuwa ameandika, the Speaker of the Senate must adjourn the proceedings to next week. He must not fall into the elaborate trap laid by the defense. So according to yeye anasema, hii defense wakienda kwa parliament watasema hii impeachment haikufanywa in the right way. And if the impeachment is not done in the right way, then the impeachment can be overturned. And I feel like Gachagua has already dealt with the reality that he's being impeached. But what Gachagua is trying to do is to see, kama is a delay the swearing in of the next deputy. And then can is a delay, hiki tu saizi tuko tushapita October 13th. Can is a delay hiki tu for another 5 months, ifike 2.5 years, where now he'll end up being accorded some of the Ninis a deputy president, even if he's not deputy. I think that would be good for him, because apparently he wanted a retirement package or something like that. I don't know how true that is. So, I don't know how true history Ahmed Nasir is, but that was interesting to see. Apart from that, pia nilicheku Ekuru Aukot aliandika, let's school a majority of the clueless senators as well as the speaker on the provisions of Article 145, whatever 5, regarding impeachment. The words are, shall have the right to appear and be represented. Those things are shall, mandatory, and to be represented if he so wishes. Alafu sasa tukienda kwa hiyo article, imeandikwa kitu kama a special, the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising of 11 of its members. Then tukiruka kuna a report to the Senate within 10 days whether it finds the particulars of the allegations against the president, in this case the deputy president, to have been substantiated. Then kulikuwa na if the special committee reports that the particulars of any of the allegations against the deputy president, in this case, have been substantiated, the Senate shall, after according the president an opportunity to be heard, vote on the impeachment charges. After affording the so kuna watu wanasema hiyo like he has to appear, but kuna watu walikuwa na argue like the Orengos walikuwa na argue that the fact that his defense had already been heard, that means yeye mwenyewe alikuwa shaskizwa. Unacheki. So yeah, but still aso wamelia sana. Nimecheki watu wakilia and waso wanasema they've been betrayed. But this is what you have to ask yourself with these things. I always say that if you find one person who fights with a lot of people, it means that that person is the problem. So at some point, Ruto alikuwa na fight sana na Uhuru. This time, ana fight na Rigathi Gachagua. Alafu, unashinda hapa ukilia na ukituambia vile uko surprised. Na vitu kama hizi ndio ufanyaga jo. Na baki nimekatsika.
Msituletee ujinga hapa.
Nasikia, msituletee ujinga. So, tukiendelea na hii story, one of the last things nataka kutackle jo story ni like the few things that the deputy president was found guilty of and what he was not found guilty of. So, kulikuwa na charge 1, undermining national unity. 53 walivote yes, 13 wakavote no. Bullshit, but wacha hiyo iende. Undermining the president and the cabinet, this one was surprising to me because 28 found him innocent, alafu yani guilty, and 39 found him innocent. And one thing ilekona wachigiko nini unajua, like I'm a big mathematics fan, hizi vitu nizataka kujua like how are people still allowed to just stay away from voting? Because if you look at the first charge, 66 people voted, the second one 67 voted, alafu tunaenda kwa the third one 65 voted, then the fourth 67. So I don't know, is it supposed to be that way? I don't know, but now let's go step by step. Step 3, undermining devolution, yes guilty, no 46. Undermining the independence of judges, 51 walivote yes, alafu wengine 16 wakasema no. Hii ni juali attack judge fulani, yule judge alikuwa amefreeze 200 million yake and Uhuru. And have you noticed something very interesting? For the past 2 years, no judge has been freezing anything. Their politicians, they've all been found innocent. So as much as Uhuru used to interfere with the judiciary, not to this level. Hii level ya Ruto ni another level. That's why these ODM clowns zinanibamba sana. Because zile time Ruto ataturn against hizo, zitakuwa hapo zikilia. Alafu kulikuwa na breaching of oath of office and allegiance. Hapa walipatikana guilty na 49, 16 wakampata akiwa nini. Charge 6, insightful and inflammatory public utterances. 47 found him guilty, 18 found him innocent. Gross economic crimes, this is what I found to be super interesting. Because hapa, hii ndio tuko tunajua, ukiangalia the evidence, without looking at the evidence, you can see clearly that history yake na property ya brother yake, there's something that is not clear there. Kuna vile, kwa nini familia ya nini wake hajatokea. And here, only 14 found him guilty, 52 found him innocent. So this shows you that when it comes to economics, these people, they know how to protect themselves because they're all dirty. Misleading the public, 27 said he's guilty, 40 said he's not guilty. Conduct incompatible with the status of the office, 46 guilty, 20 innocent. Insubordination towards the president, hapo pia he was found innocent. Alafu bullying state and public officers, he was also found innocent on that. So yes, but that's his story. Umse misikuwa namjua pre 2022, I never knew about him. And after this, when he disappears into wherever the fuck he's disappearing to, I'll never sit down one day and just be like, you know what? I miss the deputy president. And so that's that. But still, let's go back to ile headline. Kabla tumalize story. Wacha to go back to headline ya The Standard. Fired after 766 days. Then hapo chini, Adani to use JKIA title to secure loans. Think about that. Just cause Baba amekuambia that Adani is okay. Now, you're okay with this? A foreign country using our title deed to secure loans? A foreign country which in India itself, watu waliambiwa wasidu biashara nao, like banks ziliambiwa, do not give Adani any money. That's in India. But who cares, man? At least Gachagua ameishia. Gachagua was the biggest problem, sindio? Yeah? Gachagua alikuwa the biggest problem. So saizi, I think ni best yangu RAPCHA ndiye alibaki ametweet that saizi msishtuke jo. Ruto for the next 2 years atakuwa juu ya gari ati akisema without Gachagua Kenya ingekuwa Singapore. So wacha tukoje jo Kenya ikiwa Singapore. Na usisahau RAPCHA the Scientist Raw and UNKUT 4 ina go down on the 21st of December. Itakuwa go down pale Nairobi Cinema, and I can assure you that RAPCHA will have one of the funniest sets about the deputy president. Kusahau RAPCHA number 1 ni mtu wa mlima, si ndio? Alafu apart from yeye kuwa mtu wa mlima, sisi wote tumeona this has been just funny. It's just been funny to experience and see how this guy has fallen from his heights to kuchini, and how even church cannot save you. Like uko na Pastor Dorcas, umelala na Pastor Dorcas kwa kitanda, Pastor Dorcas, alafu naamka unapata si naibu wa rais. Badala ya kuwa naibu wa rais umekuwa aibu ya rais. Iko nini?